rural outskirts of the Philippines, where dense forests met winding roads, there lurked a sinister legend that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. The tale spoke of an otherworldly entity that roamed the darkened roads at night, seeking unsuspecting travelers to claim as its own. Locals called it Taghoy, the mournful wailer, said to be the vengeful spirit of the motorcycle rider who had met a tragic end on those very roads. Mark, an adventurous spirit and avid motorcycle enthusiast, scoffed at such superstitions. He reveled in the thrill of riding under the moonlit sky, believing he was invincible against any supernatural forces. One fateful evening, curiosity got the better of him as he set out on an exhilarating solo night ride through the deserted countryside. The night was still and the air heavy with anticipation as Mark roared down the winding road, the headlight of his motorcycle piercing the darkness ahead. The familiar engine hum and the wind in his face brought him a sense of freedom he cherished. Yet as he journeyed deeper into the night, a peculiar sensation gripped him like invisible eyes watching from the shadows. Ignoring the unnerving feeling, Mark pressed on, convinced that the adrenaline rush was playing tricks on his mind. However, as he rounded a sharp bend, he spotted a figure standing in the middle of the road. The sight sent a chill down his spine, for it was a solitary woman, dressed in tattered white garments, her face obscured by dark, tangled hair. Braking suddenly, Mark came to a halt just a few feet away from the mysterious woman. "Do you need help?" he called out, trying to suppress the tremor in his voice. There was no response, and the woman's haunting silence only deepened the eeriness of the moment. Mark's heart pounded in his chest as he considered turning back, but something compelled him to stay. In the stillness of the night, he felt drawn to the enigmatic figure, unaware of the darkness lurking beneath her ethereal facade. Summoning courage, Mark dismounted his motorcycle and cautiously approached the woman. As he moved closer, he noticed her eyes were vacant, devoid of life. An unsettling aura surrounded her, and a sudden gust of wind whispered through the trees, carrying an inexplicable sense of sorrow. "Are you lost?" Mark asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Still, the woman offered no response, only swaying gently in the breeze. Filled with a mixture of dread and concern, Mark decided to call for help on his cell phone. However, when he glanced at his device, he was horrified to discover it had no signal. Panic began to take hold as he realized he was stranded on the desolate road, far from any assistance. As Mark contemplated his next move, the woman's swaying became more pronounced, her eyes now locked onto his with an intense emptiness that sent shivers down his spine. He tried to back away, but his legs seemed to betray him, rooted to the spot by an unseen force. In the distance, a faint whisper carried through the night air, growing steadily louder with each passing second. It was a mournful wail, a sound that pierced through Mark's soul. His heart pounded as he recognized the dreadful legend of Taghoy, the vengeful spirit of the motorcycle rider who had met his end on these very roads. With every ounce of willpower, Mark tore his gaze away from the woman and sprinted back to his motorcycle. He mounted it, revving the engine, desperate to escape the clutches of the haunting presence. But as he prepared to flee, the woman lunged at him, her ethereal form stretching unnaturally, her bony fingers reaching for his throat. In a burst of adrenaline, Mark veered his motorcycle away, narrowly avoiding the woman's chilling grasp. He sped down the winding road, the mournful wails echoing in his ears. Fear propelled him forward, his heart pounding in his chest as he sought a way to escape the malevolent entity that now pursued him. The night seemed endless as Mark rode with reckless abandon, desperately searching for civilization and safety. The darkness around him felt suffocating, as if the very night itself conspired to keep him trapped in this nightmare. Finally, in the distance, he spotted the faint glow of streetlights and the outline of a small village. With a glimmer of hope, he pushed his motorcycle to its limit, racing toward the promise of sanctuary. As he entered the village, the haunting wails of Taghoy began to fade, replaced by the sounds of normalcy and life. Mark pulled over, panting and trembling, grateful to have escaped the clutches of the vengeful spirit. In the aftermath of that harrowing night, Mark never again rode his motorcycle after dark. He became a firm believer in the legend of Taghoy, cautioning others about the perilous roads and the malevolent entity that haunted them. For the rest of his days, Mark never forgot the chilling encounter with the mournful wailer, and while he tried to dismiss it as a mere ghost story, he couldn't shake the feeling that some legends held truths far more terrifying than one could ever imagine.